if you really love that city like you say you do, or if you've even just decided this is where I am, then you have to be intentional, make that decision to say, what am I going to do to help improve those parts of that city that pain me?
You're listening to Find the Good News, Episode 73, The Human Capital, featuring Kimberly Dellafosse, Assistant City Administrator for the City of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Find the Good News is produced by Parker Brand Creative Services, a branding agency that thinks sideways, pushes forward, and gets your brand up. See what else we do at parkerbrandup.com. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Find the Good News. In this episode, I'm sharing my conversation with Kimberly Dellafosse, the Assistant Administrator for the City of Lake Charles. This is a really robust episode with a ton of useful information for young people in our area, as well as those eager to bring their entrepreneurial dreams to life. Furthermore, Kimberly was a joyful guest with a passion for sharing good news. Good News in March will feature the mad bass maestro Trip Wamsley in a comforting conversation with Eugenie Tullis. April brings a brand new Beacon Series episode featuring philosophy and religion teacher Greg Soden, the producer and host of the Classical Ideas podcast. Some positive encouragement from Ashley Gott of Empire of the Seed, as well as the mathtastic multiplying mind of Travis Bolden. That's 5 really good episodes you don't want to miss. I'm also looking forward to visiting with Chase Bonin of the Lake Charles comedy scene and Lisa Reed, local artist and owner of Flock of Five in Sulphur, Louisiana. You folks make the good news possible with your suggestions for guests. If you've suggested someone and they haven't shown up yet, don't worry. The good news is there's a steady stream of guests lining up to share their stories with you. Keep sending me your good news leads and I'll keep having these visits at the right round table. Now, let's look to the future. Let's think about investing in the young. Let's talk about what it takes to grow a community and make it better. Let's talk about quality of life. Let's talk about lifting each other up. And press play on a little good news. Each Good Newsy is different, and getting to experience the uniqueness of each guest is one of the joys of hosting a podcast like Find the Good News. Joy is the word that I would use to describe the conversation I had with Kimberly Dellafosse, the Assistant City Administrator for the City of Lake Charles, Louisiana, after she came to visit with me at the Right Round Table. The truth is, if we would have had mics turned on from the moment she walked in the door, I think the podcast would have been even more dynamic. We had an instant rapport that I can't take credit for. She brought the good news with her when she entered the studio. Kimberly's love for her work with the City of Lake Charles is invigorating and confidence-inducing. She has a firm working knowledge of the city's programs. She has infused her personal passion for people into every aspect of her job. For Kimberly, the most crucial infrastructure in the City of Lake Charles can be found in its people, and the city's future is found in its youth. She doesn't encourage young people to change. Rather, she presses them to unfold and become a more lovely version of who they already are, asking that they plant their beauty in this place they call home. In her role as the Assistant City Administrator, Kimberly has embraced an understanding of how all the parts of city government can work together to nurture the next generation of young people and entrepreneurs. Many say that the children are our future. After this visit, I can tell you that she believes it. This is my conversation with Kimberly Dellafosse of the City of Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Wake up, it's morning. You're dreaming up a story. I can hear the way it's going, 'cause you're laughing in your sleep on the path to your deliverance, and a holy wall of light pouring through your window.
Old news, bad news, fake news. Sometimes you just want to shut it all down and get no news at all. With Find the Good News, I aim to change that by focusing on good people doing good work. I visit with artists, educators, civic and spiritual leaders, musicians, business owners, students, volunteers, and everyday citizens who are using their creativity, resources, and talents to bring hope and happiness to their corner of the world. In each episode, I dig into the hearts and minds of my extraordinary guests. We have street-level conversations about relatable things going on in their lives. Discover the critical life experiences that shape them, the perspectives that drive them, and the fundamental beliefs that are anchoring them to a path of goodness. There's a lot of news in the world. My name is Oran Parker, and I'm going to find the good.
And I love you just as well.
Strange that you bring up Lake Area Shop Girls, because my wife and I were just granted, it's dissolved.
Yes, unfortunately.
But it's weird. I mean, the timing of that, how auspicious, because we were 2 days ago driving to lunch, and we were trying to figure out something about Instagram.
Yes.
And I said, and then somebody else that doesn't live here anymore, who was in the business community, I said, well, whatever happened to that person? And then we were like, wait, she had that
505.
Yeah, had that group, and we were trying to think of the name, and my
Yes.
wife said Shop Girls, and I was like,
Yes,
yeah.
Lake Area Shop Girls.
And then we got to talking about going over there and doing the presentation.
Yes. It was at the baby store.
Yeah, right
Pink
there.
Pink and Blue Avenue off of on Nelson.
Yes.
That's where
And I brought a
remember you.
screen over there, like a TV screen, didn't I? I don't remember.
You may have.
It's
and
so long ago.
I remember my best friend told me about Twitter, and I was like trying to figure it out, and then they said you were coming, and I was like, oh,
I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah. And I still don't understand it all the way.
Well, this market, it's never like some places it's just taken hold.
Yes.
And here in our area, oddly enough,
It's not.
It's not. And it's still my favorite platform to connect to as far as like reaching people all over the country.
Yes.
And even for this show, I bring in, I'll do call-in interviews, and
Right.
I've connected with people that way. But here,
it's
just not
taking.
Never could.
It's not. I don't know if it's because it doesn't include because it does not include a lot of photos.
Yeah, maybe
Because
so.
Instagram has caught on here to a certain degree.
It's my least favorite platform.
Oh, I'm not. Listen, I say my life is too boring to be on Instagram. Like, I don't have anything I would really like. What am I going to post?
I get that.
Here's my breakfast. But I eat the same breakfast every morning. Too.
Yeah. I mean, I do use it, but I have it linked to my Facebook page, and if I see something pretty and I want to take a picture of it and put like maybe a thought with it.
Yeah.
I like that, but for as far as communicating, I find Facebook's does really well in this market.
Facebook does really well, and I think there's not the limit on characters too. Like maybe Twitter.
God, somebody needs to put a limit on my characters. I'm a essay writer.
Your hashtag long post alert.
I think people know. It's like I'm one of those people, and I laugh at myself because I know sometimes when I'm reading through and somebody's got a long post, I'll go, well, I may get back to this later. Not every time, but it depends.
Yes.
And I find that I'm that person. And so I laugh at myself, but I just do it anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, hey, it's a platform of communication, and I guess we all choose to use it.
But you're right. I love to. I don't utilize Twitter because I don't utilize it to tweet, but I read it every day because the people I follow have some really interesting information.
I agree.
I mean, just it's a great platform for people who just want information that doesn't necessarily exist in their community, but still can impact them, I think.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
So
it's a tool to bring things in. Yeah. For us, I think more.
Yeah. So I never tweet. I don't tweet, but I read every single day. I think the only thing I ever tweeted on Twitter was when Janet Jackson was named to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay.
I was just like, yay, Janet.
You know what's nice about Twitter, and I guess other platforms are that way, but Twitter is really good about it, is if something's going on in the world, you can just get eyeballs from every place in the world all at once.
You get a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah.
That's what I think I really like about Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, and this is kind of probably a dark thing, but I like the truth, even if it's ugly.
Yes.
And I find in Twitter, like, for instance, like Syria. We hear the word Syria a lot, but really it's what I found in mainstream news and even newspapers is like headlines.
Yes.
But when I go on Twitter,
I mean, I can get like really people that are going through this
Yes,
stuff.
some really
refugee
good
videos and
content.
stuff.
Yes.
And it's a little more, I go, oh, this is the real picture
Yes.
that I'm not getting.
Yes. Yes.
Free journalism, I guess,
Yes,
so to speak.
yes.
Yeah, I like that aspect of it.
Yeah. So Instagram, no, because my life is boring and I never take good photos, really. I've never taken a selfie of myself that I like. So
I struggle with selfies. I don't like looking at myself. I mean, that's just the truth. I think most people who listen to the show know that. I don't like when I leave and actually it's funny. I mean, the other listeners will probably know this by now. I'm kind of stripping my wardrobe down to simple hoodie t-shirts and like dark colored slacks and simple shoes. And day by day that's happening. And I'm finding for me, that actually helps me. I can just go, okay, this is just sort of my uniform for the day.
Yes.
I'm not worried.
Right.
Is that strange? I know that's odd,
not
probably.
Strange, and I can't recall the name of this organization specialist. It was a couple of years ago on the Today Show, and it talked about how people will have closets full of clothing, but they only wear like a very small percentage of it, and they tend to wear the same kind. And if they even buy anything, most likely they're buying in that same category.
Yeah.
And then those other things were probably purchased on a whim or as a sale, but they just sit.
Yeah.
And so you could strip so much of your closet down.
Yeah, I've been doing that, and it's the truth.
And
I mean, and me and my wife share like one big closet, and every time I go through one of these big sweeps, I'm amazed at the amount I still get rid of. I go, I'm still getting rid of these giant, containers of clothes that I just know. It's odd. I have a weird sentimental nature, very sentimental to objects. Not that I'm a hoarder, but objects have stories and meaning, and even clothes. Like there are certain clothes that I don't wear, but there's this like one Hawaiian shirt. I never wear Hawaiian shirts, but I bought it for my daughter's 8th birthday party. And it was a luau.
Yes.
And that day was special. And every time I go to put it in the I don't wear pile, I look at it and I go, I'm just going to keep this. Yes. It's strange. I mean, maybe someone will make a pillow out of it someday.
I do the same thing. I have a dress that I can't fit anymore. But I was wearing it when my husband proposed to me. And I also wore it to my graduation honors program. So I keep it. And my husband says, You're not getting rid of that dress. It's a khaki linen dress with black triangles all over it. It's like, no, it has meaning, sentimental value and meaning.
Oh, for sure. I love those kind of things. They're like little storage containers for beautiful memories. I mean, the object itself, well, like that stick sitting behind you over there with the red and yellow ribbons on it. Yeah. That's I don't even really carry it walking with me anymore, but for years I did. And there's so many stories about that stick. And that stick and I have shared so many spaces together. It's seen me at my worst, at my best, in my, darkest and most despair. I mean, it's seen me. I remember when I found that stick. I can touch it and think about that little creek, and it floating down the creek, and beavers were trying to put it in a beaver dam. And I was like, oh, wow, this is a cool stick. And so I picked it up and I used it that weekend. This is 24 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. And so I'm going, I love that stick for that. It's like there's these little tiny stories in it,
Well, we do need to declutter, and it reduces stress, but we should be very careful about decluttering to the point where we remove those things that have meaning.
Yeah, you can sanitize your life to the point where there's no texture to it anymore.
Yeah.
This is fun already. I love this. What I love about this. So for the folks at home who don't know who I'm talking to, can you give me the elevator pitch of who I'm sitting here with?
So my name is Kimberly Dellafosse. I'm the Assistant City Administrator for the City of Lake Charles. I've been in the position for 2.5 years, and that's currently what I do.
Yeah.
But like I tell my kids, you're more than one thing. So I'm also a mother, proud mother of 2, and a creative.
Yeah.
I think I'm
Is that how you got this job? Your creative aspect, or is that what drew you to this position?
It's interesting. So by training, I'm a registered nurse.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. And so you're not just one thing.
Yeah.
But
right.
I do a lot of work with young people because education is important to me. So, let me think back. I was working with a nonprofit called the Lake Charles Education Collaboration.
Okay.
And one of my ideas that I pitched to the board was that we would host this success panel at LaGrange High School for its university students. And we would have a full-day workshop with breakout sessions, right? Mm-hmm. Some of the sessions were college prep. What do you need to do to be successful? Those kinds of things,
right.
the standard things you try to introduce young people to. But one of the other ideas I suggested, and the board was agreeable to allow me to facilitate, was a session called Lake Charles Needs You. Lake Charles Needs You. And so at the time, the candidates were campaigning for mayor, and we were going to have a new mayor. Hadn't had a new mayor in 17 years. So in my opinion, this was really big, and these young people needed to see that they could possibly be a part of history making for the city. So we invited the candidates who were running for mayor to come in and engage with the students.
Okay.
And so the students talked about to the candidates what they wanted to see in the community and things that they had done, things that challenged them or bothered them or made them happy.
Yeah.
And so that gave the candidates an idea of what young people want to hear and do.
Sure.
So that's when I met Mayor Hunter at that event. And so when, he won and was looking for someone to fill this position, we connected, I'm assuming because he remembered the work that I had done with that. And I guess the rest is history. So even though I work in government, and people might think that government is a lot of black and white and it's objective, but I found that this particular job has allowed me to be the most creative that I've ever been able to be in any previous job that I've had. Because when you look at government and the challenges of the voids, the gaps, you have to be creative oftentimes to figure out solutions to those issues or those challenges. And you have to sometimes say, this hasn't worked, so let's try something new. And so that's why I think I get up every morning and I'm so excited about work, because you have, really serious issues, right? And challenges and things that in the community really, it hurts you to see things happen. But at the same time, you have a platform that's kind of blank and you have the ability to create solutions.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. Because there's a lot of us out here in the world who you can look around and see all these little things that need Band-Aids or treatment. Mm-hmm. And you do have a desire perhaps, or even an idea, but not everyone's in a unique position to where you can actually affect change. And so, yeah, that's got to be exciting for you if you were a nurse, you obviously have a tendency to want to heal and nurture and care for. Mm-hmm. In your position, sounds like you get to do that in a very broad way, but intentional. Yeah. So it's just so funny. I said, I'm in a job, I'm creative. I have a job that allows me to be creative. Well, what do? I work in local government. What? Yeah. Yeah, you just take it like that and you don't put any context to it, and it could seem cold or sterile, like you said, or robotic almost, like clinical.
Yeah, but it is a great place to be. Lake Charles is it's exciting to be in the city. And it's not like it's never been exciting, but I'm really excited, maybe because I'm more so involved now, being a part of the administration. But we see where there are so many opportunities, and not just for government to make the move towards the improvements, but for community partnerships. And so we have, over the last 2.5 years, engaged organizations, individuals, groups who are really wanting to make things happen. And we welcome them to come to the table, and we will work with them to make things happen, because we can't do it alone. We don't have all of the ideas, even though we might be creative and willing to think outside of the box. It's always great to have partners.
See, I love that. To me, that's like the good picture of government.
Yeah.
And it works really. You can do that in small communities or cities, it seems like, and maybe even at the state level. It almost seems like as government gets bigger, then it becomes more shut off almost, where it's like, well, input from the outside, we're just going to do things, this way. It's too big to bring too many partners in. But in a city, you can really plug in, and you see these cities change and thrive.
Yeah, you can be more agile, you really can. And people want change, and you hear people out, and let's see where we can work together, and let's brainstorm big ideas, and then let's do the work. I think it's Sean Ardoin. Who says, let's get to work. So once we have the ideas, that's the first part. Mm-hmm. Now let's find the partners, and let's move towards making it happen. So
what kind of thing, what are some positive challenges that you find that you're facing in this role and in the city right now that y'all are addressing?
So I mentioned to you how I love young people.
Yeah.
I love working with young people. And I like it because it's so cliche, but young people are truly the future. We have to prepare them. So I think it was Abraham Lincoln or some wise man said, whatever future you want to see, you have to create it, right?
Sure.
So
yeah.
We see challenges with young people, but we also know that if you just offer some programs, you get involved, you show them some positive role models, you introduce them to some new ideas, you listen to them, you can begin to see change.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of youth initiatives that we promote, not because we're just kicking out a program. It's because we are being intentional. We're trying to create things that will make Lake Charles better now, in the very current, day to day. But we're also looking at the time when we will have to pass the torch. When you have to pass that baton, you want to make sure that when you're on that relay team, the person you're passing it to can run just as fast, just as swiftly as you could, right?
Yeah.
Or as you can. And so these youth programming initiatives that we've rolled out are very important to us, and I get really excited about it, So I talk about on social media, if you go to my page, I talk about Teen Connection all the time. And Teen Connection, here's our, I brought a little handout of our workshop. Let me pass it over.
All right, and we can post this too, right? Okay,
yes,
great.
Yes. So Teen Connection is in its third season, right? So we've been doing it since 2017.
Wow, okay.
Yes, yeah. We launched in October of 2017. And it's a leisure learning series for teens, basically. And we focus on 4 key points: entrepreneurship, workforce development, financial literacy, and college preparedness. And so we host these workshops twice a month. We start in October and we run all the way through April. Workshops are twice a month. They're presented by local business professionals, educators, business owners. These presenters donate their time. That's the amazing thing
great.
about this community. People want to help. People will contribute their time for great efforts. And so our presenters are all people from the community who volunteer an hour of their time to come out and teach a class to young people.
This is interesting. I mean, I'm looking at all these different classes y'all have coming up. I mean, that's pretty incredible. What does a teen have to do to get involved in this?
Show up.
Just show up.
Just show up. So we have our email list of educators, the schools, private, public schools, charter schools, churches, organizations. If I meet you and I get an inclination that you might want to hear about it, you're added to the mailing list.
You're getting the info.
You're getting the information. And so we just keep the updates as the next workshop approaches. We're letting them know this is the topic that's coming up. The workshop is free, obviously. This is where it's located because we offer it in 2 locations. One location that we offer our workshops is at the Donald Ray Stevens Recreation Center.
Okay.
And then we offer we do probably about 70% of our workshops over there. And then the other 20% are hosted at Huber Parks Community Center. That's in the Oak Park community. And then after that, the other 10%, we try to spread them out to schools. So we'll reach out to principals and say, hey, are y'all interested in us coming in during the day to host this particular workshop at your school? And you invite whatever students or whatever your sign up is whatever.
Yeah.
But we'll come into your school during the school day and present this workshop. And we come with resources and materials. We have a grant from the parish, right? It's the CSBG grant that allows us to buy materials that support the nature of the workshop. So, like for our financial literacy classes, I purchased books called How to Turn $100 into $1 Million.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And so we just give those books out, and, how to make more money than your parents ever dreamed of. Where's my slice of the pizza? And it's all of these just different books that these kids, ACT prep books, scientific calculators, all of that. So Teen
That's
Connection
awesome.
is a wonderful program.
And I'm happy, I know it. I'm helpless.
Sorry for interrupting the conversation, but I have something I need to tell you about. You may or may not know this, but this podcast is produced in the city of Sulphur, Louisiana, one of the sister cities that make up Southwest Louisiana. All of my childhood memories are wrapped up in the city of Sulphur. It's my home, and it's been a good home for most of my life. There is a growing diversity of unique businesses, services, and events in Sulphur, each with a rich and colorful story to tell about their particular place in this little jewel on the west side of the Calcasieu River. My mission is to promote good news, to put a positive signal out in the world. That's why my team at Parker Brand Creative Services has created the new brand, Sulphur Today. Here's how it works. Post your Sulphur event, service, photos, videos, or information using the hashtag Sulphur Today. That's it. My team and I will scan and curate those posts through the social media platforms we've put in place. Before you make your post, just type hashtag. That's a £sign for the folks that don't know what a hashtag is. And the words Sulphur Today with no space. My team at Parker Brand is monitoring this tag right now, and they're ready to create positive digital curb appeal for our city by sharing all the very best Sulphur has to offer through the Sulphur Today social media pages. As the Sulphur Today project grows, we will be scheduling interviews and video sessions with businesses, events, and services so they can tell their story of Sulphur Today in a series of ongoing micro-documentaries. Look for the eye-catching Sulphur Today sign when you're out and about. And be ready, we may be stopping by to visit you for a photo op. And don't forget to stop by the Parker Brand Creative Services studio in Sulphur to grab a Sulphur Today decal for your vehicle or business. We want people visiting our area to know that they can find all the wonderful things we have to offer with ease and be a part of our history by utilizing the Sulphur Today pages or by searching the Sulphur Today hashtag. Do you want to help us tell the story of Sulphur Today? Here's what I need you to do right now. Visit and like the Facebook page at facebook.com/Sulphur Today. And be sure to share positive Sulphur information and post often using the hashtag Sulphur Today. Now, back to Find the Good News.
I love you just
on average, I mean, are you seeing the participation that you'd like to see in these programs?
I always want more.
Yeah.
I want to walk into the Donald Ray Recreation Center because I know it has the capacity, and I want to see 300 students because I know this information is life-changing. It's transformational. So we average about 35 to 50.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, but
I think,
I want more. I want more because, like I said, I want to make sure that whenever that torch is passed and whomever's hand is touching that torch to begin the race, that they are prepared.
Yeah.
And so, team connection.
So is there any component to this that is encouraging the young people to stay in the area?
So each year we try to get Mayor Hunter to present at a workshop.
Okay.
And so he, and he loves young people, so he always obliges. So on April 2nd, there's a workshop entitled The Future Begins Today.
Ah, okay.
Our last year's session he presented was Lake Charles Needs You. And so in that session, he challenges people, young people, to, if you want to go off to college, that's fine. But bring those ideas and bring that degree back to Lake Charles, bring it back to Southwest Louisiana to make this community great, to not that it's not great, but to continue to build a legacy, because we don't want to be a community that's bleeding for talent.
Right.
So we have some kids here who are absolutely amazing. But if they don't see the value in the community, they leave and they go to Texas or wherever, and we lose that talent.
Yeah,
so, yes, we always try to incorporate a workshop, a session where Mayor Hunter is there talking to them about, hey, opportunity exists here. And even if it's something you wish this community had, like, man, I wish the city had this. You could be the one to create it because there's something in you that I know gives them the ability to create what they desire.
Yeah, it's interesting because what you're talking about and that idea, that's why I asked it, I guess because it's on my mind, about staying just kind of where you're at. Because I just finished a book this morning about becoming who you truly are. And it was a little short read by James Martin. But in the end of the book, he was basically advocating for people to become saints, ordinary people. And we don't. We always think of. He said, we have this engagement with a saint on a stained glass window, and they're looking up to the sky and the halo around their head, and we go, "Oh, I'm not them." But he was talking about the important thing to remember is that they're just people. And so his illustration was, the single working mother who gets up at 4 a.m. and has 2 minutes to get up and then make breakfast and then do this and then go to work at a job that maybe isn't super fulfilling. That person might read Become a Saint in Your Own Life and go, how can I do that?
Right.
How can I? Because I have all this stuff going on. But his point was that you actually are, by being who you are, by embracing the reality of your day-to-day life, you sanctify it to some degree.
Yes.
So, and I guess my connection to what you're saying is that it's almost asking young people to do that same thing. Allow yourself to be and blossom who you're supposed to be, but apply whatever that is and sanctify your community. If that makes sense.
It makes sense. There was an article that challenged, it was called Love the Parts of Your City that cause you the most stress. Right?
Yeah, okay.
And I might be misquoting, but basically that was the summary.
It's a good idea, though. I like that.
And it said, when you look at your city or your community, what makes you happy? Okay?
Right.
Now, when you look at your city or your community, what pains you? What makes you upset or what stresses you? And then it then challenges us to say, if you really love that city like you say you do, and to some degree you have to, you've chosen it to be where you live. So if you love it, or if you've even just decided this is where I am, then you have to be intentional, make that decision to say, what am I going to do to help improve those parts of that city that pain me?
Yeah.
And I think about litter, because litter.
Yeah. Okay. I'm warning you. If you open that door for me, we're going to stay there because I have a huge I mean, only way I can describe it is righteous anger about it. I'm not angry like, and you know what I mean by that. Like, I don't understand such a blight.
I hate litter
On
right?
our area. Yes, it
and
is.
So,
You're right.
So I hate litter to the point where, listen, one of my sons is in college, so only one is still at home. I will wake everyone up like we are picking up litter, and so we would be up on the street. We were picking up litter, and I remember one morning we were picking up litter, and this guy passed and he rolled down the window. It's like, "Good job!" And I was like, "It would be better if you were out here with us."
It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome that you get your kids up to do that, though.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. It teaches them the responsibility, stewardship.
Yeah, it teaches them stewardship, and you have to take care of where you are too. You know, you have to just, it's something is pretty or well kept because someone decided to do that.
So let me ask you a question. Let's talk about litter for just a minute, because I'm since you brought it up, I'm very curious to get your opinion on this, because I think we have a really bad problem with it. Not just, I mean, everywhere in the
Louisiana has a real challenge with it.
Yeah, we really do. I mean, our ditches, and I mean, you cannot. I pick up litter a lot too, and I'm sort of bean count in my head as I'm picking up, and I am amazed, even from the end of my driveway at my studio here down to the next corner. When I go pick up litter, I will pick up almost a full, 25-gallon bag of trash. That's not far. That's not even a quarter of a mile. And that's just the curb. Yes. And I just go, wow. And then I could do that every week. The same spots.
The same spots, yes.
So that means something's recurring. And what do you think it is? What do you think? I mean, is it part of it? I know some of it blows out of containers and some of it,
people not, it's trucks,
there's that,
the beds,
for sure.
and it blows out of the back of the trucks. But I think it has to start with education. If people innately don't see the value in where they live, then they just have to be taught to be more mindful. And some might say, well, why do you have to teach people? Well, if you don't, then you're going to continue to get litter.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a mindset that we just have to really work to change the perception.
Yeah.
We have to get people to love where they are. And when you love something, you value it, you take care of it, you treat it kindly.
Yeah.
And so that's why I appreciate the city's Team Green efforts and the parish's Pick It Up efforts, because they're really trying to spark the conversation with young people. They're in the schools doing teaching and training reinforcements of just don't litter. And so giving kids the implications of litter, how it impacts animals and our waterways and all of that. So it is a challenge statewide. I don't know what the root cause of it is.
Yeah,
but
I don't either. I think
know,
about it a lot.
Yeah, but I do believe it's going to take a significant shift in mindset, and people just have to begin to value where they live. They have to value the neighborhood, the street, and then we can get tons of people out to do adopt a spot pickups, or you do litter pickup, or my family does pickup. But if we don't shift the mindset, we're just in our pickup efforts, although they're necessary.
They're necessary, but
it's like a Band-Aid. So the other portion, of course, is enforcement. If you're
that's
not,
I've thought about that. I mean, that's the part that really gets me, because I go to a lot of different meetings with folks and have different conversations, and that does come up, and I'm becoming I'm starting to believe less and less that we're going to be able to penalize our way out of this.
Yeah.
Because you're saying we've got to get it's something psychological. It's a weird apathy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know where it comes from.
I've assigned 3 E's to it.
Okay.
So it's education, it's execution, that's people picking up, and then there's enforcement. But I just think education, because you want it to stop. You want to get to a point where you don't have people who litter.
Yeah.
So that's why, like I said, I appreciate the city's Team Green efforts and the Parishes Pick It Up efforts, because they are engaging directly with young people and engaging with the community in ways to really try to shift that mindset.
Yeah.
Because like we can't enforce our way out of it.
Yeah,
We just can't.
Yeah, you're right. And litter's just such one little element too, because we talk about this at home all the time. Because when you go make your recycling haul, we only go once a month. We accumulate it and then we haul it off.
Yes.
And it's a lot. And
Yes.
before we started doing that, I go, just think, all of this used to go into the garbage. Mm-hmm. And so we've tried to have consumption awareness when we buy packages and things like that. Because I tell my family, again, I didn't tell them, we just talk about it. I said, all these other things that can't be recycled or reused are now going in the can. Mm-hmm. But when they get to the can, you're trusting that it's not going to blow out, that it's going to, there's this whole weird relationship with the way we consume and then the companies that produce products that, I don't know. It can get so, like a hydra. There's just arms and heads everywhere to be dealt with.
But if we could just get at the heart of it, just to get people to value where they live and value the community. This is a beautiful portion of the state. It's beautiful waterways, the greenery. You just don't have that in some parts of the country. And so the fact that we have it here, we just really need to become more mindful of it. And so we just have to love it better. And that's what I say. Yeah. For me, litter is something that pains me about the community. So the way I've chosen to love the community is to address it through our neighborhood litter pickups. Yeah. Because I'm not the one to just complain about something and not have some kind of response to it.
Do something. I agree. I can, like I said, I could write an essay, but am I going to do anything that I've written? Am I going to take an action that has some result? So
kudos to you for going up.
Well, I will say this. It's kind of, I laugh at it now because if I don't laugh, I'll cry. I mean, this is a reality, and I mean that. I have a relationship with a chocolate milk bottle between here and there that I have told people about. I said, I will pick that up and then I will go for a walk the next week. And that same chocolate milk bottle's on the ground. I said, so somebody that likes the chocolate, that chocolate milk throws it out every week on the side of that road right there. And they must finish it about the same time.
Finish around the same time.
Because it's a different bottle every time. I said, it's another one of these barrel-shaped Borden's chocolate milk bottle. It's the same one.
Yeah, so that's just something that, one of my things that pains me. And so I have to go outside and we pick up.
Yeah, well, good for you. I mean, and if you can identify a spot, because there are several that, like, oh my gosh, like I said, this is one of those little trenches. If I get in, I gotta get out of here because I'll stay here all day. But there's so many troublesome spots.
But I think it's going to definitely take a change in mindset. And so I think for any situation, education aids in changing mindsets. And so you try to hit children while they're young and impressionable. It's harder to make an impact on an adult who's been doing that as to why they need to change. They might be more impacted by the enforcement side because,
you're right. That's right. Yeah.
But for a young person, they're impressionable, like I mentioned, and you just try to get them to think differently.
Yeah. No, I do. I'm one idea that's always been very impactful in my life is the idea of interbeing, and that, when you follow one thing, you find where it connects to another thing and how all these things live in relationship to each other. And we talk about this a lot at home as well, is like, if you could just follow the path of production of a product from the raw resources into the production and then the journey into someone's life, and then as it exits their life and where it ends up, that would be eye-opening, I think, to somehow really show people an object that they're interfacing with or interacting with every day. And when it disappears from their life, where does it go? What happens? Where did it come from? What was the implication of that? It's so complicated, but I do think that would be a component, at least for me, that really affects me.
I think a kid could really understand the problem more so when they see it in that manner. It's not just, don't litter.
Right.
This is what happens when you do.
Yeah. Because we used to live in a world where cute mascots were enough. I mean, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, it was like, don't be a litter bug, and it was cute.
But now I do. I used to love give a hoot, don't pollute. Remember that
well,
one?
I still like Smokey the Bear.
Yeah.
I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I love Smokey the Bear when I was a kid. I kind of wanted to hang out with him. I was like,
he had this
like a
cool
guy.
voice too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and then Mr. Yuck stickers when I was a kid. You remember those?
Yes.
Mr. Yuck. I was like, God, that was a big thing they taught us in schools.
So we'll start telling our ages.
Mr. Yuck. I do remember those, though, because I actually kind of thought it was cool, when they were on things. It's like, don't.
And I'm happy, I know it. I'm helped.
I hate to pause the program, but I want to ask you something. Did you know that you can help me and my team at Parker Brand Creative Services grow the Find the Good News signal? For less than a fancy cup of coffee, you can become an Early Risers Club patron on our Patreon page. What's Patreon? Well, it's a way for creators to fund their projects by pooling support from those really passionate people that believe in what they're doing. Do you believe in what we're doing with Find the Good News? I hope you do. We believe that there's already enough negative news in the world, even right here at home, and that good people doing good works deserve a platform to speak from too. That's why we created Find the Good News, and we believe in that simple mission. Maybe you believe in it too. If you do believe in finding and sharing good news, then head over to our Patreon page right now or check out the link in the show description. For a commitment of $3.33 a month, you can join the Early Risers Club of Find the Good News Patreon supporters and get access to the B-Sides, a patrons-only podcast with the crew behind Find the Good News, Parker Brand Creative Services. Each time we level up, the Patreon rewards will get bigger. If you're tired of old news, bad news, and fake news, help support Find the Good News at patreon.com/findthegoodnews. That's patreon.com/findthegoodnews. Now, back to the episode.
I love you just as well.
So youth is obviously a huge component in what you're doing, but what other kinds of programs that maybe aren't youth related?
Yeah, so we talk about the idea that innovation moves communities. Any progressive community, when you get at the heart of it, there are people there who wanted to do things differently. They wanted to challenge. They wanted to grow. And so innovation is, something we're really focused on with the city of Lake Charles. And so from our standpoint, we're looking at how innovation and business ownership kind of tie in. And so we are currently in March, in the midst of the beginning of what is an inaugural initiative called the SWLA Lake Charles Launch. That's a tongue twister.
SWLA Lake Charles Launch. And so for my listeners that aren't from here, that SWLA is Southwest Louisiana.
Yes.
Okay.
Southwest Louisiana Lake Charles Launch. So I'll just call it the launch.
Okay, that's
give it
perfect.
A cool tag, the launch.
That's cool.
So the launch is a brainchild of Mayor Hunter. He's big on business ownership, obviously, because that's his family's background. And so me being a creative, I said, okay, well, entrepreneurship, business ownership is kind of where you want to go. And at the time, the city had its own business expo, one-day event that they were hosting, in previous years. And then I saw where the Alliance was hosting their business expo, and they had a luncheon.
Yeah.
And so the two were separate. They were like operating separately. But once again, I talked to you about how we value partnerships. And so we reached out to the reps at the Alliance, and we said, wouldn't it be cool if we got together and we hosted an event that celebrated, promoted, business ownership? And they were like, yeah, we love the idea. And so I went back to the drawing board. I was like, okay, a one-day event. Then I was like, what about if we made it into a week? And so I reached back out to the reps at the chamber, and I said, hey, do y'all have any workshops or that we could fill up for a week, and we'll do some on our part from the city? And they said, yeah, we could do a franchising 101, for anyone in the area who's interested in buying a franchise. Like, how do you go through that process? They said we could do a social media, because of course that builds capacity of current businesses. It's like, okay. And somehow that idea, I just sat down and then started thinking about all of the people we could pull in. So that one day that turned into 1 week is now a 1 month celebration of entrepreneurship. So we have about 20 different workshops and networking events are being hosted throughout the city of Lake Charles, being hosted by different organizations like the Alliance, the City of Lake Charles, SCORE, the Louisiana Small Business Development Center, J.D. Bank, the African American Chamber of Commerce. We even have some nonprofits who stepped in and said we could host some events.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
What works? The LaFleur Leadership Institute, Goodley and Associates, Investar Bank. We have just had a number of partners to come to the table and say, we want to be a part of the effort to really put business ownership in the forefront in this community. And so throughout March, there are a number of events. For those who are interested in finding that list of events, they can do a couple of things. Of course, you can go to the city's website, www.cityoflakeCharles.com/launch.
Okay. That's easy.
Yeah, LAUNCH. The city's Facebook page, Lake Charles City Hall, will be posting the individual events. And then, of course, I go to all these various different groups that have formed on Facebook. We're talking about how this community really embraces Facebook. And I just drop in different events, So, for instance, today is March 5th. And we have 2 events that are being hosted under the umbrella of the launch. One of them is the business pitch warm-up. And so the business pitch warm-up is the Seed Center's workshop and developmental workshop to get those business or potential businesses prepared for the actual business pitch competition.
Okay.
So there's a business warm-up taking place this evening. Anyone interested in registering for it, it's free, but you do have to pre-register. So you could reach out to Mr. Adrian Wallace at Wallace, WALLACE, at alliance.org. At alliance.org. And so there's that. Then there's the Teen Connection workshop that's taking place tonight called Dollars and Cents. Cents spelled SENSE. Just got to make good choices, right? And so if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to know the money basics, right? The basics of money. And so that's what this workshop is. So
do any of those events ever cross over with the teen initiative that you have?
Yeah. So 2 of the, it's 3 teen events, 3 events that are taking place as part of the launch that are geared towards teens.
Oh, okay. Cool.
All right. So we have 2 Teen Connections, one taking place tonight, March 5th. The other is on March 19th, and that one is called Credit or Leave It, the importance of establishing credit. And if you want to be in business, you might want to get a loan. You might need to, go to a bank, to get financing. And so knowing what it means to establish credit and maintain good credit is necessary. So we're teaching our teens that on March 19th. Now, when I say teens, we've had college students, preteens. We've had parents. I wondered
about that. I was going to ask if the parents ever come.
Yeah. We've had resume building classes, and we've had some young adults and parents to attend because they were looking for employment and they wanted to see how to upgrade their resume. So we don't stop you at the door. It's like, oh, what? Let me see your ID. No, you can't come in. No, we don't do that. If you're there, you're welcome to partake in the information. So those are the 2. And then the third event, which is, I'm so excited about this one, and I hope parents, schools jump on this. But on March, and I just want to make sure I have the right date, March 10th, okay, the McNeese Student Innovation Center. Have you heard of that before? So McNeese has it's over at the Seed Center. There's a Student Innovation Center.
Okay.
And its goal is to build entrepreneurs who have creative, really big ideas. And so they'll be hosting an open house from 10 a.m. to noon on March 10th, and it's open to high school students.
Oh, okay.
It's free of charge. And like I said, I'm gonna go on here because I want to give the contact email for Dr. Jeffrey Stevens, who's in charge of the Innovation Center, and that's who they would call to register. But like I said, we're all about big ideas and innovation, and so I hope people really take advantage of that open house at the Innovation Center. Like I'm not gone to it, but I've seen the videos of it, and I was like, this is a jewel that this community has, and I don't think as many people know about it as they should.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about all of this. I mean, what has been the most effective way for y'all to get your information out about these different programs?
Well, we've tried to go on multiple platforms. I'm here today talking,
Sure.
And I'm hoping your followers, spread the word.
Right.
Of course, we've been on social media. We've done KPLC interviews. The March issue of Thrive magazine has an article about the launch. Lanyap is doing a feature on the launch.
Well, that'll help. Yeah, that's great.
And so, just trying to get the information out that way, because we did a press conference and it's covered on it. It was covered on the day that the launch was announced to the community. But just trying to get people aware.
Yeah, keeping the information moving. I mean, it's like with the way things are now, you have to kind of almost make these little paper boats and stick one in the water every day. You know what I mean? To go.
That's a great analogy. Yes.
It's like, okay, I put one out yesterday, but
all right,
that one's already went down the river. I got to put it down the.
Yeah. So look, I was talking about that Student Innovation Open House. Yes, March 10th. 10 a.m. to noon. It's at the Student Innovation Center. It's housed at the Seed Center, which is on Ryan Street. And for those who are interested in the Innovation Center, they can email Dr. Jeffrey Stevens at jstevens, that's STEVENS, at macniece.edu, or they can call his office at 475-5540.
The beauty of a podcast, if you're listening, is you can actually skip back about 30 seconds if you got to write it down.
That's right. And look, on that same day, that the March 10th date, that's when that Franchising 101 course is being hosted at the Seed Center. The presenter is the CEO of Pizza Artista.
Okay.
And so that's free at the Seed Center from 2 o'clock to 3:30.
Well, I mean, that's really interesting because I'm sure there's a lot of young people who they do have questions about that. I mean, and yeah, you can go research things, but to actually sit and get a condensed one-on-one with somebody and then be able to ask them questions. Sure, I'm sure there's Q&As at those things, right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And I think that's the good thing because, you can read the material, but when you have the opportunity to really engage through questions and answers,
yeah, absolutely.
I think it forms there's a better chance for long-term retention and your ability to apply it afterwards. Yes.
So I got a question. This is personal.
Okay.
Well, maybe not too personal, but it is personal. How has being in this position changed your life?
I am in a number of ways. So I'm more cognizant of what is going on. So I've always been aware because I was just raised to be, active in my community. So I've always been that. But I'm just more cognizant. So I'm looking at what occurs in the school district because I know that it has implications for the schools. For the city of Lake Charles. I'm looking at what occurs in the parish, on the state. I'm looking at all things now just because I know they all have some type of interconnection, and so I'm just more cognizant, if I could say that.
Yeah.
That would be it. I mean, my level of involvement was not prompted by this job, so I was doing that all along, but it's just, you just become more aware of how another entity or another organization's efforts impact the people of your city. I think that's the way I've been impacted.
That's beautiful, actually. Well, that gets back to what I was saying earlier about interbeing. I mean, you're able to kind of have a view now, a wider view of all the little moving parts and how they interplay and how one affects the other.
And you want to help to make sure that even though the city of Lake Charles is not, we don't have schools, right? But because we know that when people choose a city or a neighborhood to live, they oftentimes look first at the schools or the quality of the schools. And so we've been actively engaged with the superintendent, and he's been very receptive on ideas. And that's how we were able to, we have the blessing from the superintendent to go into the schools with these courses, because we are attempting to supplement, because we know, like I said, that action impacts our citizens and even the perception of the city. And so just being, like I said, cognizant that how one entity or one group's efforts impact our citizens. And so we just can't operate in a silo.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well said.
Oh,
yeah.
So I was poetic this morning.
That was really good. I mean, I've enjoyed all of that. It's eye-opening. It's encouraging. It's very positive. And, it's definitely fits well with this show because, one, I always learn things. And then, two, it's just a reminder to take a wider view sometimes and look at the whole picture, and see sometimes a city as an organism, that has all these little parts that move together. And y'all are working to keep it healthy, in that regard. And what you said, I was thinking about that as you were talking, when you're looking to live in a place, you want to live in a place where there are all of these aspects being met to your life, education, the environment, and people are a part of that. I mean, human beings affect the world. We have a huge footprint.
Yes.
So in a city, it's the same way. I mean, it's going to be like the people.
Yeah. You can't, yes, a city is made up of the buildings or the infrastructure, and that's important because that impacts your life. But at the heart of it, it's the human capital. It's the people,
Yeah, the human capital. I think you just named your episode. Yeah. We have a theme on this show. It's always the something, and it's always a mystery.
Yay.
And here we are right at the bookend of our talk, and you just said that beautiful phrase, the human capital. I love it.
I like that.
I like that too.
I like that.
And I'm happy, I know it.
This episode's Fishing for Goodies Fishbowl sponsor is Brimstone Museum and Henning Cultural Center in Sulphur, Louisiana. I don't know what you look for when you travel, but one of the things I look for when I'm putting together my itinerary is a unique museum or gallery in the city I'm traveling to. I do this almost every time I go to a new city, but if I'm being honest, I'm guilty of not always doing that very thing right here at home in Sulphur, Louisiana. That's really a shame because we have one of the most interesting, historically relevant, and culturally rich corners in any city in the country about 2 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. I'm talking about the Brimstone Museum and Henning Cultural Center. Have you ever really thought about why our city is named Sulphur? They've got a permanent exhibit on the history of the sulfur industry that answers that simple question and more. You really get a full scope of just how important the sulfur mining industry was to the development of Southwest Louisiana and the impact it had on the rest of the world. Yes, the rest of the world. On the same property, right next door to the museum, is the Henning Cultural Center, presenting some of the most interesting, modern, and culturally relevant local art shows I've ever seen. My dear friend Tom Trahan and the Brimstone Historical Society have really worked hard to give us this treasure, and it's a multifaceted jewel that I plan to take advantage of more often. You don't have to wonder what their hours are, or how to get there, or what shows are coming up. Just go to brimstonemuseum.org like I did, and subscribe to their mailing list right there on the homepage. That's brimstonemuseum.org. Tom will make sure you start getting the announcements for each and every new show at the gallery. But you don't have to wait for the mail to arrive to enjoy this historical local treasure. You don't have to be guilty, like me, of overlooking a local wonder that conveniently sits next to the Grove, one of the most beautiful walking parks in Southwest Louisiana. Drop in and say hi to Tom for me. Tour the museum and center, and make sure to tell Tom that you heard about Brimstone Museum on Find the Good News. Now, let's take that dive in the fishbowl.
So you listened to the show, you said, the Matt
Yes.
Young's episode?
Yes.
So you know about this fishbowl right here?
Okay.
All right. So this is the segment of the show called Fishing for Goodies, and there are about 400 plus questions in there from various sources.
Okay.
They're all mysterious. I don't know what they are. So you draw 3 questions, and then we will talk about them.
All right. So let's see. 1. We go down in the bottom. 2, and I already have this one. 3.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
All right. I'm excited. I love this.
All right. So I guess this is kind of what you just asked me. You said, has your project, passion plus work changed you?
Wow. Well, I already asked you a question like that.
So I wouldn't say, I think I'm innately who I am. So I've not changed. I think it's enhanced me.
Isn't that what we all want to do?
Yeah.
You want to be true to your nature, but I like that.
Yeah,
Unfold even more.
Yeah.
Isn't that great when we unfold? Because, I've, maybe for good or for bad, we all unfold to some capacity. But what's cool is when you do unfold and then you discover that inside there's some petals with a different color that you didn't know were in there. And you're like, oh, the center of me is fuchsia. Yeah. I didn't even know. I looked like a white. I looked like all my petals were like this off-white color, and then I got to the middle, and there's these pretty little yellow things and fuchsia on the inside.
I hope mine are fuchsia, because my favorite color is pink.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like you discover these new little things inside.
Right. You remember when we were talking before, and I said that how I tell myself and I tell my kids that you're not one thing.
Yes.
You're just not. Your job is what you've been trained to do in some ways is technical, but there are so many facets of who we are, and I think we have to dedicate time to see what are all those things.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, they say stay in your lane. It's not to mean that you should be confining. It's just that there are certain things in you, your petals, those things that are designed in you, that were given to you from birth. Find those things. And so staying in your lane, I think, really means finding your purpose.
Yeah. I think sometimes we can we think we're one thing and we don't realize we have these values. Yeah. That's another plant reference, but I don't know why. As you were talking, I was thinking of cattails, we drive by cattails all the time and we go, oh, they're just everywhere, and cattails, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, only, I guess, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I realized you could eat them. And
really?
I was like, oh, you can eat a cattail. And my brain, immediately I went, oh, well, how do you eat the cattail? Because it's got this puffy. Yeah. And when I finally looked into it, and I realized, no, you don't eat that. It's the root is edible. And I was like, isn't that funny how your mind works, though? You go to the thing you can see and what something is on the surface. And when somebody said, oh, there's value in this beyond what it is,
right,
my mind went immediately to its appearance.
Yes.
Right? And I went, oh no, the actual value is down at the root.
Yes.
It's at the core of the thing.
It's the core of the thing.
And I would have missed it by looking at the top,
Such a great analogy.
And I think people are like that. We have these values that are somewhere inside at the root, and they have sustenance, something to give back. But we're sometimes get caught up in that bloom. you know?
Or even getting caught up in what society says you should be, what you should do, or what you should say, you know?
Right.
And so I think that's true. You should seek to find what it is that makes you happy. And I think you'll find that happiness when you find the things that are intrinsically who you are, not what the next person is doing. It's you in your lane discovering what it is that embodies you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I love this because it does. I mean, I guess because I just literally closed the book on that book I told you about this morning. It was all about this. You know, just don't look at yourself in comparison to somebody else.
Oh,
you know?
that's I think it's the reason why we have a lot of cases of depression that stems from social media. And I love social media, utilize it like often. But one of the downsides is that when people utilize it and they're using it as a comparison mechanism. Oh, they're traveling here.
Right.
They're doing this, but look at what I'm not.
Right.
And so we have to look in that mirror and know that this is where we are, and it's not about comparing. You know, you can aspire. Someone can motivate you. You can look at someone's life and someone's accomplishments and say, I aspire to do that too. Oh, their life is motivational to me. But it still requires you to reach whatever you're shooting for, utilizing what's in you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting about social media. I'll tell you a little short story, and it's happened last night. And I mean, I'm really going to be confessing here and getting personal, but last night my son was taking a bath in this sort of big bathtub that has these jacuzzi type jets that we have. And he normally doesn't want the jets on, but last night he said, yeah, I want the jets on, you know. He's 9 years old. He's playing in the jets. And so I walked out of the room, and then I went back in, and he had dumped shampoo in there, and it was making this huge, it was just full of bubbles. This had happened years before when my other son too, and it was cute. It's funny, you know, you're going to clean up the bubbles. So I went in there and took a picture of his little head sitting in the bubbles, you know, and I went back and pulled out my phone and I started editing it, and I like made the bubbles blurry, adjusted the color. I'm like, oh, I'm going to post this. Yeah. Well, when I went back in the bathroom, he had gotten out of the bathtub and he had dumped water everywhere, and he had thrown the bubbles all over the bathroom, and it took like 7 towels to wipe it all up. And it wasn't so cute anymore. Because now they were in our bedroom, and it was just a whole thing. Yes. I'm not going to say I lost my cool, but I did get upset. Yes. And I gave him like a scolding about that. I was like, you know, this is now a problem. This was cute, and now it's a thing. Yes. I could have posted that picture this morning, and people would have been like, oh my God, he's so adorable. And I know that's what would have happened. Oh my God, love, like, whatever. And if I had said no more, it's just a great illustration of like the reality. The reality. Because they don't know that I was like, boy, what are you doing? Why'd you do this? Yes. And you should realize I got to clean up at 8 o'clock. And
yes. The layers of a situation. I guess a photo has layers, but you can only see the front facing photo. You don't see the events that led up to or that follow. And so that is perfect.
Yeah, because the irony that I sat there, I mean, it's so funny because this morning I was going through my pictures, and there was the original picture. Yes. And then the one I had edited, and it just made me think that. I was like, how funny, because I refused to post it. It is a cute picture, but I was like, but there's a story here. And this is exactly what I don't like about social media, you know?
And it's like, it's the posting of what you want people to know, the perception.
Look, Oran's kids are so, you know, they just play in the bubbles, and it's right. No, I was like,
I wanted to like,
dude, what are you doing?
What are you doing? And so, that's why, you know, that's the downfall, because people do compare.
Yeah.
So
totally.
But you have to live in who you are.
Yeah, I love that.
And no pretending.
No pretending.
You have to be honest with yourself.
Yes. And that's why people listen to these types of shows too, because it's real. You know, that they can absorb that in a different way. Yeah. Well, that was a good
Okay.
question. We got all the
got
juice
that.
out of that one.
Okay, so the next question ask, would you rather have artificial intelligence or have real intelligence? Well, for me, I would rather have real intelligence because for me, I just mentioned, it's the people, right?
Yeah.
It's the connections that that spark when real intelligence exists. Artificial intelligence, and I know that's what we're looking towards, in the future, but we can't negate the common connection that occurs when you sit in a classroom
Yeah.
and someone is engaging and they're talking and are even lecturing and discussing an experience, and you're learning from that, and it's that moment, it's you listening to that person and absorbing what they're saying, it's you taking those notes or whatever. So I would have to choose real intelligence because it's still the human connection for me.
Yeah.
It's that's what brings us together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally agree.
Those
And I love
connections.
that. I can tell that's what you care about.
Yes.
You said it, the human capital.
Yeah.
What's the value of
it's
humanity?
the value of people.
Well,
Yes.
artificial intelligence is a good tool. And
Yes.
it should be a
Yes.
tool, maybe for computing, but it shouldn't be making our decisions for us
For us,
taking the human elements out.
out of it.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Emotion, things like that.
Don't want that. Okay. Last question. If you had to write a book, what would you write about?
No, nobody's been asked that before. That's a good question.
Let's see. So if I had to write a book, I would write a book, because I'm creative, I would write a book or like a rom-com, like a romantic, a fictional couple, romantic kind of like When Harry Met Sally kind of
Really?
book. Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
that comes out of left field. Okay, that surprises me.
Yes. If I had, that's what I would write about.
Yeah. Is there a reason that you would? Is it something you just enjoy?
I enjoy that. I love rom-coms already, and I always like I just went to. Now this one wasn't a rom-com; it was a romantic movie. I went to see The Photograph, and so I always say, "Oh, I wish they would have taken the character this way," or if they would have had 30 more minutes, they would have done this, or what do you think the plot would have been like if they would have done this? So,
Have you seen this movie that's come? You may have. It's not that old. It came out a few months back, or maybe longer than that. I don't know, but I'd only recently watched it. But it's about the girl who, I don't know if she hits her head or what, but she wakes up and her life is a romantic comedy.
Yeah, was Amy Schumer in that or something?
No, it's oh man, I can't think of her name now.
What you're talking
She's a
about.
blonde-headed girl. It's not
Yes.
Amy Schumer. It's another girl. She's Australian, I think. She was in the Pitch Perfect movies.
Yes.
I don't know why I
Yes.
can't think of her
I
name.
know who you're talking about.
It's a
Yes.
fun little movie,
Yes.
though. It was kind of
Yes.
cute because it was like, oh, this is so funny because this is how it is in the romantic comedies,
Yes. So that's
Clever
what I
little
would write.
thing. Well, that's cool.
What
That's
would you write about?
Oh my gosh. Well, no, let me go mine my Facebook essays and I'll just stick those together.
You have a compilation of my Facebook rants.
Yes, I think what
thoughts.
happens for me, I don't know if it's a particular subject, but I think it would be interesting to write a book about, for me anyway, personally, would be to write a personal book about trying to find your way spiritually. I know there's a lot of that type of stuff out there, but I think it would be interesting for my own well-being to try to capture that in a linear fashion. In my starting out, like in my 20s to now. What's that journey been like?
What it's been like, yeah.
Pitfalls, things that have been good, things that stuck, things that didn't, things that worked, things that didn't.
And just to see your growth.
Yeah, like what's changed.
Yeah, from the 20s, to where you are now to see.
Not having kids to having kids. How does it? I think that's just, and be very real about it, not real, orthodox.
Right.
You just sort of
right.
going, hey, this is what it's like
That's
when
what
you're just
it's
kind of
happened.
playing bumper cars out there, and this is what you're dealing with.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that
yes.
would be fun to write, probably, and probably healthy for me. I think.
Yeah,
to
you'd
take
be
that journey.
cathartic. You get some thoughts out on paper.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't have a lot of. Most of my things in my life kind of revolve around that anyway. So I find that that's the lens I tend to look through. So I think it would probably be what I'd end up writing about.
It's so funny that you that I pulled that question. Since I was a kid, I've written so many books.
Really?
Never published anything,
Wow.
which is awful. That'll probably be one of my biggest regrets. But I've written books, scripts.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you do like to write?
I love to write.
Yeah, me too.
Creative writing.
Yeah, me too. I like to let it just sort of flow out,
Yeah.
and then I go back and tailor it. But yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I find that in college, that was my favorite classes were creative writing classes.
I love that. My oldest son, it's interesting how your kids kind of pick up some of your characteristics or your likes. My oldest son really enjoys creative writing as well. He's really good at that. Not what he's majoring. It's not what he's majoring in.
But he's good at it.
But he's really good at it.
It's a good skill to have, just writing in general, I think. And I think some of the writing, for me, a lot of that developed from just coming from reading. Just reading a lot of different...
Yeah. We had one of those Teen Connection workshops. It was called 5 Simple Steps to Make You a Better Writer. And one of the steps simply said you just need to read more. If you want to be a better writer,
It's true.
You just read more.
I agree with that. I do tend to find if I'm really honest, even some of the way I end up writing is reflective of the types of reading I'm doing.
Yeah. You learn style.
Yeah.
Obviously you're reading another writer's style of writing.
Yeah.
You learn vocabulary, the technical portions, but reading also can open your mind to different aspects. And so, you become a better writer as a result of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good question too. You had 3 really good, powerful questions, but there is one more question.
What's that?
It's not in the fishbowl. It's on the back of that yellow mug that now belongs to you.
Ah, thank you. Okay, so.
Other side.
Oh, other side.
There you go.
All right. Did anything good happen today? Well, of course. Today I'm sitting here with you.
Good. I'm glad this was good.
This was so fun. I think I talked way too much.
Oh, no, you didn't. This was a good, that's like you covered a lot of ground and you shared a lot of really good insights, I think.
Well, thank you. I hope I was a good guess.
No, a good guess. And honestly, it's exciting to, you smiled the whole time.
Because, listen, my aunt used to tell me when I was little, because I was smiling, you'd see all my teeth. She's like, God didn't bless you with 32 teeth. You have 42.
Now, that would have been a good episode title, too, the 42 teeth. I like the human
smile
capital.
so much. But yeah, oh man, I'll start laughing till I'm crying thinking about how she used to, Kim, do you ever stop smiling? And I was like, oh, I was smiling. I didn't even realize it.
That's awesome, because some people... Many of us do. You go, oh, it's time to smile. And we just do
I
that.
know.
But to just have a natural smile.
Listen, it says, I don't know where I read this, but I would incorporate this in my rom-com. It says, like, if you're on the phone with someone and you're smiling when you're talking to them, it's because they make you happy or it's pleasant. Even if it's not like romantic conversation, it's just if it's fun and you're enjoying the conversation, you're smiling, right? And so I can imagine in my rom-com, I would describe them being on the phone and she was smiling, and it was confirmation that she was interested.
That's good. I like that. This has been a really fun talk. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I enjoy being here.
And I will get it out there and make sure people know about everything and about you, and because that's what's going to happen. They learn about the programs, that they're going to learn about you too.
Well, good.
But people, right? I mean, that's the little engine and everything.
It's the heart of everything.
Yeah.
Problems were never solved by inanimate things. Even if a computer calculated the solution, it was a person who inputted something into the computer, programmed the computer to make it happen.
Yeah.
So it is about the people, because the people have the passion, the answers, the drive, the insight, and the ability.
And I love you just as well.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Kimberly Dellafosse. If you'd like to help me continue producing Find the Good News, consider becoming an early riser patron at patreon.com/findthegoodnews. Shares and reviews are a wonderful way to support the show as well. Thank you for choosing to find the good and for making that decision to press play.